We're getting really close to the end of 2020, and maybe you can start to picture in your mind the things that you would like to see in 2021. Maybe just take a moment and picture what are the things you'd like to see in 2021. I bet it's a long list. But Deuteronomy chapter 4 at least cautions us about the danger of putting too much into what we can see. In Deuteronomy chapter 4, Moses is recounting for the Israelites when they were at the mountain and the Lord spoke to them, and the Lord gave them the 10 Commandments. And twice in that chapter, he says, you didn't see the Lord's form. You didn't see the Lord, but you heard him. But you didn't see his form. And then right away after that, he goes into some warnings about creating idols, things that you would worship other than God. And the examples of idols that he gives are things that you can see. People, men or women, idols, statues, different things you can make, birds and animals, all these different things that you can see. And I think that's intentional, where Moses is drawing a contrast between the God who spoke to them that they couldn't see and the things that we're tempted to love more than God, which are the things that we can see. And he does that because he's emphasizing the necessity of living by faith. And faith, of course, is living by believing in something that you cannot see. You can't see God. You can't see him organizing all events in history for your good. You can't see exactly how he's going to carry out his promises or when he's going to carry them out. We can't see those things, but that's how God tells us to live. He tells us to live by faith. But it's hard to do because the things that we do see every day are sometimes really hard. We see a lot of pain. We see a lot of frustration. We see a lot of suffering. We see people, either other people or ourselves, carrying around a lot of guilt. We see that sometimes that can be an impossibly heavy burden. And we want to see something different. But Moses is reminding them of how important it is to live by faith, not in what we see, but faith in what God says. He spoke to them at that mountain. He gave them the 10 Commandments. He gave them good guidance that was going to lead them all the way to the Promised Land. But think about the other times in Scripture where God's voice was all that was needed. Go back to the very beginning. His voice is how the universe was made. God spoke, and there it was. There were stars, and there were planets, and there were trees, and there was grass, and there was sky, and there was water, and there were animals. He spoke, and it happened. That was powerful. As Jesus was standing outside the grave of Lazarus, he spoke. He said, "Lazarus, come out." And he did. A dead man listened. When Jesus was in the boat with the disciples, and the storm was raging around them, and it was too much for the disciples, Jesus got up and he spoke to the storm. He said, "Shh, calm down." And it did. It listened. When the daughter of Jairus had died, Jesus went in and took her by the hand and spoke to her, told her to get up. And she did. When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he was surrounded by soldiers, dozens, maybe hundreds, who wanted to arrest him, he spoke. And they let his friends go. And they didn't hurt him. Yet. Because he wanted to get to the cross where he spoke once again. And he said, "It is finished." And what was the result of God speaking there? You were forgiven. Your life was guaranteed to end well, no matter what your eyes ever see, no matter what your body ever feels, no matter what's ever missing as you look out into this world, into your life, into your existence. He spoke, and it happened. And as we think about what this next year is going to look like, maybe don't think so much, or at least put as much stock in the things that you will see with your eyes, but in what somebody might see you doing if they were to pay attention. Let them see you listening to the voice of God, opening up His Word and soaking it in. And then you will see. You will see that God will lead Israel to the promised land by speaking to them. He will lead you through 2021, just as He has through 2020. Hear His word every day, and then rest well every night, my friends. Because when God speaks, everything listens.